The morning sun streamed through the glass walls of Chicago O'Hare Airport as Marcus Thompson hurried through the bustling terminal. His crisp navy suit and polished leather briefcase spoke of success, but his focused expression revealed urgency. A major acquisition deal in New York required his immediate attention. The company jet was undergoing maintenance, leaving him no choice but to book a commercial flight. At the gate counter, he secured the last available first-class seat on Flight 447. "Boarding pass, please," Marcus said politely to the gate agent, who smiled warmly and processed his ticket without hesitation. Little did anyone know that the man standing in line was actually the CEO of Skyline Airways, the very airline they were about to board. As passengers began boarding, Marcus made his way down the jet bridge. The aircraft gleamed under the terminal lights, bearing the familiar blue and silver logo of his own company. He had built Skyline Airways from a small regional carrier into one of the nation's most respected airlines. Today, however, he was traveling incognito, simply another passenger seeking safe passage. Flight attendant Sarah Jenkins greeted passengers at the aircraft door with practiced efficiency. Her smile faltered noticeably when Marcus approached. "Excuse me, sir," she said, her tone suddenly sharp and suspicious. "I think you might be confused about your seating assignment." Marcus paused, slightly taken aback. "I'm sorry, what do you mean?" "Your seat is probably back there," Sarah pointed toward the economy section, her eyes narrowing with obvious disdain. "First class is up front." "I understand that," Marcus replied calmly, extending his boarding pass. "I have seat RA." Sarah barely glanced at the ticket before shaking her head dismissively. "There must be some mistake. Are you sure this isn't a connection flight? Maybe you picked up the wrong boarding pass at the gate." Jake Miller, another flight attendant, noticed the commotion and approached with a knowing smirk. "Problem here, Sarah. This gentleman seems to be lost," Sarah said loudly, drawing attention from nearby passengers. "He's trying to get into first class." Marcus felt his jaw tighten, but maintained his composure. "There's no confusion. I purchased this seat legitimately. Here's my boarding pass, and here's my identification." Jake crossed his arms and chuckled. "Look, buddy, we see this all the time. People try to sneak into first class hoping nobody notices. Just head back to your real seat and we won't have to make this embarrassing for everyone." "I assure you, I belong here," Marcus said firmly, his voice carrying the quiet authority of someone accustomed to being heard and respected. Other first-class passengers began turning in their seats, watching the unfolding drama with mixture of curiosity and discomfort. An elderly woman whispered to her husband, "What's all that noise about?" A businessman in seat EB looked up from his laptop, clearly annoyed by the disturbance. Sarah's voice grew louder and more aggressive. "Sir, I'm going to need you to cooperate here. We have a full flight, and everyone needs to be in their proper seats. Security can escort you if necessary." "Security?" Marcus repeated, disbelief creeping into his voice. "You're calling security because I'm trying to take my assigned seat. We have policies for a reason," Jake added, pulling out his radio. "Some people think they can just waltz into first class without paying for it. We've seen it all before." The accusation hung in the air like toxic smoke. Marcus realized with crystal clarity what was happening. His race, not his ticket, was being questioned. His success, not his behavior, was being challenged. The weight of countless similar encounters throughout his career pressed down on his shoulders. "Tower to gate, we need security at aircraft door for passenger disturbance," Jake spoke into his radio with theatrical authority. "That won't be necessary," a commanding voice interrupted from behind them. Captain David Reynolds emerged from the cockpit, his uniform crisp and his expression serious. The veteran pilot had noticed the commotion and decided to investigate personally. "What seems to be the problem here?" Sarah immediately straightened up, her demeanor shifting to professional deference. "Captain, this passenger is trying to sit in first class without proper documentation. He won't return to his assigned seat in economy." Captain Reynolds looked at Marcus thoughtfully, then extended his hand. "May I see your boarding pass and identification, sir?" Marcus handed over both documents without a word. The captain studied them carefully, his experienced eyes noting every detail. Then he looked at Marcus's face, recognition slowly dawning in his expression. "Ladies and gentlemen," Captain Reynolds announced in a clear, carrying voice that reached every passenger in first class. "I'd like you all to meet Marcus Thompson, the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Skyline Airways, the airline we're all flying on today." Silence fell over the cabin like a heavy curtain. Sarah's face drained of color. Jake's mouth fell open in shock. Passengers who had been watching the confrontation now stared in stunned recognition at the man they had just witnessed being humiliated by his own employees. Marcus straightened his shoulders and spoke with quiet dignity. "Thank you, Captain Reynolds. I appreciate your professionalism." He turned to address Sarah and Jake directly. "Your employment with Skyline Airways is terminated, effective immediately. Security will escort you off this aircraft before departure." The transformation in the cabin atmosphere was immediate and profound. Passengers who had remained silent during the discrimination now offered embarrassed apologies and words of support. The elderly woman reached across the aisle to touch Marcus's arm gently. "I'm so sorry that happened to you, young man. That was disgraceful." As airport security arrived to remove the terminated employees, Marcus took his rightful seat in 2A. He pulled out his phone and began composing a company-wide message that would institute immediate changes to Skyline's training programs, focusing specifically on unconscious bias and respectful treatment of all passengers. Captain Reynolds made a personal announcement over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, Skyline Airways is committed to treating every passenger with dignity and respect, regardless of race, background, or appearance. Today's incident will lead to meaningful changes in our policies and training." As the aircraft pushed back from the gate, Marcus looked out the window at the sprawling airport below. He thought about the countless travelers who faced similar discrimination without the power to fight back. His position gave him a unique opportunity to create lasting change, not just at Skyline Airways, but throughout the entire aviation industry. The flight to New York would be smooth and uneventful. But the real work would begin when they landed. Marcus had a meeting to attend, a company to run, and a world to change, one policy at a time. Justice had been served today, but more importantly, hope had taken flight.